Welcome back to my channel, my friend. I'm currently running a Zone 2 run, so I try to speak with you. This is kind of my talking test too. I'm a little bit nervous about filming in public, so I think my heart rate will probably shoot up. I hope you don't hear the field work. But yeah, I just wanted to check in and say welcome back and tell you how my running has been going. And honestly, I signed up for something that is kind of very interesting for me and very exciting. So yeah, I'm very happy. If someone had told me like a few months ago that I would be running and talking and that doing while running 10k, I would not have believed it, but here I am. And I think if I can do it, you can do it too. And so I hope you enjoy this little video where I'm talking about how I took the approach that I presented in the last video into practice. So I hope you enjoy. Hey friends, I'm speaking to you from the armchair of truth because I would like to talk a little bit more casually about how I'm putting the science that we've discussed in the last video into practice, and how better to do that than by having a little heart-to-heart, you know, putting things into context. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous because this is the first kind of video that I do like that, where I don't have much prepared, because this video does not require me to note down things on the science topics because we've already discussed that. So for me, this kind of just talking style is a little bit new. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are interested in how the running journey goes on. But I don't want to waste your time anymore, and now let's start talking how this running thing is going. I wanted to start by putting things into context for you to understand my approach. To put things into perspective, running is not my priority. I am doing a master's degree, I'm working a part-time job which consumes most of my time, so I get to train in that limited free time only, like many of us. And I like that because both my studies and my job require me to think a lot and to do a lot of mental and thinking focused work, which is very taxing on your mind. Therefore, I like to put my life into balance by spending a certain amount of my free time on training, because that helps me to stay focused and clear-headed. So I use training as a balance tool there. The thing is, even within training, running is not my priority. I train in a hybrid way. I like to try new things a lot and I get bored quite easily, so I like to keep my training as multifaceted as possible. And I know that if you want to prepare for a certain thing, or if you would like to get a peak performance in a sport, you need to narrow down your training and orient your training around that. But for me, running is only one of the things I do. I didn't start my running journey to do competitive running, so I just wanted to have it in my enjoyable list of enjoyable training styles that I do, and therefore I don't spend all my training time solely running. On top of that, I like living life to the fullest, so in my free time, my friends and my family are my first priority. I do not forcefully squeeze another session or another training in if I have prioritized time with my family and my friends. Now that we know that, no week looks the same for me. I have many different places that I am in the week-to-week life. Yeah, therefore no week looks the same. And my training, or the time spent running in a week, could be anything between nothing or 30 minutes to several hours that week, because I have some more free time, or the weather is good and I want to go for many nice long runs outside. I don't know. But the time that I spend on running differs from week to week. And I think this information is kind of important to understand how I went about my running, and also to see that you don't need to have the perfectly fixed routine each and every week, several hours per week, to get some results. And now I think I have talked quite a lot about this topic, and so let's start at the very beginning of my running journey. Up to my starting point, I was maybe doing a run every other week, sometimes once a month, sometimes no run at all that month. So up to that point, I was very irregular
with running. And if I went for a run, I went for the runs that we talked about in the last video. The mid-intensity, middle distance run that left me feeling very done when I was coming home from it. So it wasn't very effective and I didn't enjoy it particularly. I knew that it was like good for my body and my mind, but I didn't have fun in the process of running. And at the beginning of this year, so in January, I started to put science into practice. I think it was last autumn or something when I started to get into the literature about running, and I really wanted to know why I wasn't enjoying it. And therefore in January I started practicing that by going super slowly on the treadmill, because I would like you to understand we are in January in mid-Europe, so basically every time I have the spare time to go for a run is either in the rain or in the dark or both. So basically that was one of the reasons why I decided to go on treadmill runs, but that was not the only reason. It was also because my pace within my aerobic threshold was so slow that I was physically not able to run that outdoors and keep the pace as low as I needed to. So I decided to start on the treadmill, get kind of used to very, very slow paces, and also to ease myself into the running training by maybe putting up a series or putting on some music. And I think everyone knows that when you put on music and you are not that trained of a runner, you mess up your pace all the time, because it's just an internal desire to align the beat of the music and your pace. So for me, the way to go was to go on the treadmill. And I started off with quite long sessions actually. 1 hour sessions up to 2 hour sessions on the treadmill, very low intensity. After these sessions, I felt fine. In the beginning, my body needed to get used to it in the sense of my ankles were feeling a bit sore. It all felt a bit stiff the day afterwards, but from my lungs capacity, I was feeling fine when I finished these 1 to 2 hour sessions. Even at the beginning of my running journey, I went home and was feeling refreshed and clear-headed, and I was feeling as if I could continue with my day if I wanted to. So from the beginning on, I was enjoying these low intensity sessions. It was just not possible for me or not convenient for me to do them outside. And at some given point, I then started with some high intensity sessions. When I was feeling comfortable with my training on the treadmill for low intensity and longer sessions, I then started to add in sprints, intervals, to use that maximum energy output zone to boost my training. And sometimes, because I didn't have the time to go to the gym just for a 30-minute sprint session, I added it in after an upper body session or something. Maybe this is not the most efficient way for you to do, because your body is kind of already a little bit exhausted and fatigued from the upper body training, but in my opinion it was an okay way to add in that session instead of cancelling that session for the week. And the thing that I was learning in these high intensity sessions was I was experiencing very different feelings in my body, especially with this running motion and the speed that you have when you do sprints. I was experiencing my body in a completely different way and got used to its capacity, and also gained confidence in it, because I knew, oh, okay, even at that high speed I can balance and my ankles are okay and my stabilizers work and everything like that. And after these sessions I kind of felt that they are more taxing on my body, or at least they feel like they have more impact on the whole musculoskeletal system. So I started to bring in some stabilizing work, some core work, not in the ab circuit way, but in the core stabilization way, because I knew that this would help my body reduce the risk of getting injured. And then the weather was getting better outside, and I had spent the last part of the dark season to do my training inside and to get into somewhat of a rhythm with running. And when the weather got better, I was like, okay, I feel ready. I really want to try whether my low intensity work and my high intensity sessions have done anything throughout the last 2 or 3 months, and I really want to see if I can go for a low intensity run outside now. I couldn't. I was still going too fast. It seems like I'm not really good at keeping a low pace for myself when I'm outdoors. I don't know if I'm getting too excited, or I don't know if I'm then distracted by all the new influences and forget about going slow and then just gradually going faster. But I couldn't keep the low pace, and therefore my heart rate was very up. Honestly, When I went for the first time, my heart rate was up before I even started because I was so excited. So that didn't work from the beginning on, but what I then started is, because I was new in that city, I started to use my low intensity sessions for exploring the city and to get outside and enjoy the weather that was becoming nicer and nicer by the minute. Something that the outdoor runs really brought for me was that I could actually grasp my improvement, because after some weeks or months of running outside and outdoors, I could then scrap the walking breaks. Also, what they brought for me is a peace of mind. I like being outdoors because I get bored very easily on the treadmill. God, even after getting used to it, it was quite hard not to put on a series because I've found it sometimes very boring, but I'm very extreme at getting bored, so that might not happen for you. So running outdoors brings me joy. I explore also the fresh air and all the benefits that bring the outside world for you, some of which we have talked about in the Why You Should Start Running video. Introducing outdoor runs in a low intensity actually helped me boost my mental state. I wasn't feeling so overwhelmed by the day-to-day stress levels, and my workload was even increasing at the time, but I was feeling less overwhelmed. So the outdoor runs really brought a peace of mind for me. This made me really happy and thinking putting science into everyday life is a very, very good approach. And honestly, eventually, longer distances felt fine. On my body, my lungs anyway, because I was going slow enough. Even before the mid of the year, so not even half a year into the journey, I was feeling very fine with 10K distances, and it was kind of my go-to distance when going for a normal run within my week. And so after... Ooh, I have to look that up right now. Just give me a second, because I'm not even really sure which month that was, and I don't want to lie to you. So I'm just gonna look it up because I have recorded it here. Now I got it. And then in May, I ran my first half marathon, and that was not even half a year into my running journey. And let me tell you, when I was starting off, I had in the back of my mind, it would be nice within the first 1.5 years to run a half marathon. But after 5 months from honestly barely even getting through 5 kilometers, I was then doing a half marathon, obviously with some breaks for drinking because I'm very bad at drinking while running. But basically a half marathon, and I'm so grateful for that. That by putting science into practice, I could actually do something that I wouldn't have imagined to be possible for me that short into my running journey. And some people might be thinking now, well, 5 months for a half marathon prep is nothing. But for me personally, that was a big step, and I was very, very happy, and I felt very accomplished in having that done while enjoying the process. It was not that I was like structuring my whole everyday life around my running training or scrapping all of my strength work. That was not how I was training. It was just a byproduct of a casual running routine backed by science that I was doing. And for that, I think that, yeah, I was surprised that it was that early on in my running journey. And that takes me to today. As I said in the first clip of this video, there is something exciting that I have signed up for, and yeah, I've signed up for a half marathon race. I'm very excited, and I take you along. I would be glad if you come on that journey with me, and maybe that is an inspiration for you to start using that running approach and maybe plan for an event like a 5 or 10K race, or maybe even a half marathon or marathon, wherever you are in your journey. Yeah, I hope that this was a little bit inspiring. I think the takeaway from this video for you is, apart from putting science into practice, is that just do what feels good and what suits your life, and do what makes you happy. Don't put pressure on yourself. And I think the most important part is stay patient and believe in yourself, because you can do it, and with time and patience you will see progress. And I think the last thing that I want to say is, the best time for you to start is right now. Just go for it, and do not care what other people think about you. Do not care if you run in your low intensity zone and you get passed by many other runners out there, or get looked at very weirdly when you go very slowly and additionally take a walking break. So what? You are doing something that will benefit you and your body, so do what makes you happy. And with that being said, I hope you stay curious, you look after yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!